All right, so this is going to be a very interesting session today. A very good evening to everyone once again. We are on our usual Saturday session. This is 23rd of November. It's just 1 minute past 4 o'clock. And finally, we had a bounce back to, not just a bounce back, worth enough to discuss. So the first few minutes, like every Saturday evening, we're going to take a look at the Nifty, Bank Nifty, the sectoral indices, strategize, position ourselves for the next week, and trade with as much clarity as possible, right? Starting with the Nifty futures. Now I'm using the Nifty futures chart here, and good to see that this particular range wherein I had a past congestion, anchored VWAP, volume profile suggesting pretty decent volumes did happen at this zone. My favorite Fibonacci retracement levels, they kind of all confluenced, and good to see that the index managed some kind of a bounce back from sub 23,400. Let me tell you honestly, I think we did these drawings, these levels were dropped a month back, if not more than that. I think somewhere in this zone when we had the first cut. At this time price, I did not foresee that it will come straight away like this. I thought that the market's too strong. Few sectors were looking very good and very unlikely that it will fall like the way it has fallen. But the fact is it has fallen. The fact it has used 23,400 as a short-term support as of now and given us a bounce back. Is it done? Are we over with the correction? It's too early to comment on that. The first thing that I would like to do is I would like to do a quick comparison between the Donald Trump win bounce back and the recent bounce back. So all I'm going to do is going to use the info line, just connect this low to high and see that the Donald Trump bounce back was around 3% from the lowest point of that price to the highest point. After that, it fizzled, it came down, and now we have the next bounce back. And this bounce back, if I just drag the same info line from the low to high, is giving me around 2.74%. In terms of percentages, the base is slightly lower than that, but it's more or less similar, more or less. It's workable, right? In terms of points, the Nifty spot gained 557 points in yesterday's trade, which is a good deal, a little over 2%. Let us just quickly go back to the weekly chart and conclude that the structure of the market, if I blow out the weekly chart, if I just look at the price, and if I say look at some few years, okay, I'm looking at 2022 onwards, something like this. It generally gives you an upward rising sense, which I use the word structure. The structure of the market, I'm using the 52 period linear regression channel in this case, and it's sloping up. So overall structure, sense, bias, tendency of the market still seems to be on the upside. It's not a beaten down, a downward sloping, bending, downtrending market, bear market. No, it's a bullish market which had its run of pretty good rallies, has now gone through a meaningful correction which it had not gone through such in the recent past. That's why it feels so bad. But if I take you back to 2023 early, you had a bit of a correction. If I take you back to around 2022, you had a series of correction in a zigzag manner. So things like these, they do happen. It's just like for few new traders, it's happening for the very first time. So the longer time frame, I'm using the weekly time frame here, is fairly okay. And yeah, we should see a little more of this bounce back. Coming to the daily time frame, is this good enough? Is this move good enough or not? It's good. Enough or not, that time will tell us. Do we have a low here? Now, very basic low is a fractal low. a 2-bar fractal low. Please give me a 2-bar fractal low, which means that at least next Monday's low should be higher than Thursday's low, which will give me a fractal low. And then I can say, come on, I have a short-term bottom in place. Now, important thing is to test these resistances, take them out, sustain, and then, go further up. It's not going to be easy. Definitely, it's not going to be easy. I will definitely like to keep a side by side an eye on the US dollar. Very important going forward, and even the crude, I think so. Looking closely to the daily time frame, I also see a range expansion of beyond 2 standard deviation. This indicator tells me that yesterday's move, the high-low difference was such which took the average range beyond 2 standard deviation. So it's a range expansion. Pretty good move. Maybe caught the shorts by a little surprise. What about further upsides? What about short-term resistances? Let's use the daily chart. I'm going to focus only on price and nothing else. As you know, when it was coming down, we had drawn these red rectangular, these zones, which were nothing but erstwhile fractal lows, and we were expecting that maybe we'll get some support. They did not that well. I'm going to change their color. I'm going to turn them from blue to red, because now I will be expecting that these zones can offer me resistances. This is pretty clean. This one on the higher is pretty clean. Let me spend some time with this one. These fractal lows were fine. When it was coming down, it breached the lows a little bit, then broke, then came up. The support became resistance, and then the next leg. So this is not a bad zone at all. What I will do is I'm just going to make it a little broader so that I can touch these lows, and there's no need to make it a little more broader on the upside. Something like this is fine. Just work on a range. That's it. Yeah. When it came down, this was a brilliant fractal high. And after that, there's no such brilliant fractal highs that the Nifty daily chart has made. So I'm going to take the liberty to drop an anchored VWAP from the top. Go to the settings, change it to high, and it will calculate based on all the high prices, and I'll turn it red. This level will be significantly higher, so it will not make sense right now. It's at 25K. It's not going to make sense right now. We are just getting the job done so that we can expect where the resistances can be expected. I also like to drop a volume profile, and let's see, when it came down from this point to the recent low, where did it find a maximum zone of congestion, or let's say volume? And the point of control is right above that zone. That's the zone of ours, which is a little above 25K. All right. But I cannot ignore this zone, because over here the volumes were significant. And it matches with the zone that we had already drawn. Please understand that these zones were already drawn in blue. We just turned them to red. After that, we dropped the anchored VWAP. After that, we dropped the volume profile. And when you get these kind of confluences, they're strong. So I'm getting a pretty good sense that this is one important resistance going forward. So I will take I will just take a look at the lows and the highs. So it's around 24,300. Okay. 24,300. And on the upside, it's around 25,600, 650 kind of zone. Now, that's a fractal high, that's a fractal high. This is 24,650. So why not respect that? Why not just make it a little bit more wider and give it a good 24,300 to 24,650. That's a big zone. That's a wide zone. That's not a small one. But we will first respect 24,300. First, our eye will be on 24,300. then within the zone as it goes and passes 24,650. Okay, so we've got some work done on the daily time frame. We can expect 24,300, where we closed is 23,900. So it's just 100 point from here on is no big deal, considering you gain 500 points. But of course, after 500 points, you will slow down. Structure of the daily chart is still negative. Overall trend of the daily chart is still negative. Momentum is also not that great. So I will strongly suggest and request, no matter all these kind of, let me just reduce this font size. It's too big. Yeah, I can deal with 18. Yeah. So don't get too excited and go way too bullish right now. This market will probably take us within this zone, and the big R resistances might get established, and we might go through a bit of more volatility choppiness. It will probably take some time. See, global cues is very important. You have a couple of wars happening. Inflation, whether it will trickle down to the other services and sectors, manufacturing or not. US dollar, you cannot ignore this going forward. I think you have to keep an eye on this almost on a daily basis. And whether this correlation, this crude leading to inflation, we are kind of importing inflation in our country, if you understand that, what I mean, from the crude. So there are various macroeconomic factors which are aligned not in a positive sense, and neither of them looks to be reversed anytime soon either. So, sir, the war is going on for ages. That's true, but the dollar index has bounced back. The food inflation has gone up to the highest over the last 12 months, 14 months. If the crude starts to increase at a higher dollar rate, it's going to give a pressure to the interest rate. In inflation, and in return the interest rate will not be reduced anytime soon. So सब कुछ मिला के बहुत ज़्यादा पॉजिटिव तो दिखता नहीं है. So do not get too excited. I just added a dash of macroeconomic fundamental cues, which I generally do not because I like to stay as much as possible a pure price guy. So ज़्यादा excited mat hoiega, number one. Coming to the lower time frame before we go to the other sectors, one interesting factor that you will notice is the index has started to make a broadening kind of a formation, a diamond formation kind of on the Nifty 75-minute time frame. Over here, if we spend a bit of time and we zoom it out, over here we will get quite a few meaningful fractal highs which were lacking in the daily time frame. Right. So let me just plot few of them, and we will see if the Nifty respects any of these levels in the near future or not. This won't matter that much. This is a pretty good one. This is similar levels. The other one that I can see seriously, this was the big one. No. Yes, kind of. These are the two lines that I can think of, that I can make sense of right now looking at the 75-minute time frame. First one that I drew did hold the prices down here, and that's where exactly we are dealing with 24K. So from a very short-term point of view, 24K and further up. If scales further up, then it's around 24,400, which is coming from this fractal high, which is kind of all right. Which came very, very close couple of times. So yes, why not? 24,400, 24K. These are the two levels that this particular anchored VWAP is throwing at us. Please, before I move on to the next sectors, please do not consider these levels as confirmed resistances. ये गलती मत कीजिएगा. These are not resistances. These are levels. These levels can become resistances. These are not resistances. ठीक है? So when price comes at close to these levels, आपको थोड़ा सा extra careful होना है. Do I see any sign of reversal? Is there any kind of a divergence? Is there any kind of a negative icon? If there's any kind of a negative candlestick pattern formation, etc., etc. So please don't make that mistake. These are not resistances. These are levels. Market can respect these levels and it can turn out to be a resistance. So Nifty, short-term view, decent bounce back. Too early to call a bottom. We have some levels. We have levels close to 24,300. That's a meaningful zone that it needs to kind of breach and go inside this particular wide 300-point zone of resistance. And we should respect this. So we'll see from a very short-term point of view, after 557 points rally, a big range expansion that we have seen, the index is very likely to slow down. So close to 24K and maybe 300-400 points more, which is 24,400, which is 24,300. So everything boils down to that 24 to 24,300 tak. Ye short-term bounce back should take a breather. Once it takes a breather, वो कितना retrace होता है? Does it retrace 100%? Does it retrace a little bit? Does it retrace 50% and bounce back? That will determine the next leg. If we straight away see a 100% retracement, not good news, of course. But if we see a shallow retracement and a further move, that's a positive sign. We will consider this as a good sign. Time will tell us, price will unfold, and accordingly we will position ourselves. In terms of the Nifty, stay light. In terms of if you're a derivatives trader and if you're net short and were short, you should start, unwinding some of them and stay light on the short side. If you're going long, make sure you're a very short-term trader. Do not create a very big or wide position unless you're participating in the cash market for the long term. Short-term traders should stick to being short-term traders. Okay? The broader markets, CNX 500, I can see a very good looking green HEGB on the daily, has given a bounce back. Mid and small caps, if you've noticed, have not participated that well, right? Yesterday's trade, when the Nifty was above 2.3% rally, you have a small cap, not even a 1%. So broader markets have not rallied as much as the heavyweights. Is it a good sign? I consider it to be a good sign. I personally would love to see, after a 10-12% correction, the buying coming into meaningful large cap stocks. And then the small and mid caps can follow. So I'm considering this as a positive sign. Now, Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty, the larger picture, the 52 period linear regression channel slope, the overall structure of the charts, everything seems to be positive, and it is knocking at that psychological 50K mark once again. We had again this blue zone which we had drawn on our charts in our past, and it seems to be supporting it as of now. Weekly charts, structurally positive, momentum not so good. Daily chart, structurally negative. It's not a very good looking chart. It has given us a good move. It will probably scale a little bit further, but just like the Nifty, it is likely to face a bit of resistance. We have to keep that back of our mind. From where can the resistance come? Without wasting too much time on the Bank Nifty, if I just quickly leave with a couple of anchored VWAPs. This is such a good looking anchored VWAP, and you will 100% should agree with me 100%, because this anchored VWAP held the prices down for every meaningful bounce back it has given. So this is important. Let's leave it to there. The other one won't make that sense. So there is some headroom from a polarity point of view. If you take a look at the 75-minute time frame, this is the fractal low, erstwhile fractal low. So 51,600 is the first resistance for Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty के साथ we should quickly take a look at CNX Finance. Now, the weekly chart looks similar, but it doesn't have that punch. It's not that great looking in terms of the bounce back that we have seen recently. What I like about Bank Nifty is I see that the Bank Nifty, the index broke the previous low, created a trap for fresh shorts, and gave a beautiful rally, which is a classic trap. I do talk about these traps in my classes all the time. So it's a trap. And these are more prominent in stocks rather than indices. So CNX Finance में मुझे ऐसा कुछ नहीं दिखता है as of now. very likely CNX Finance with the overall markets can rally further. And सब previous, जो भी आप chart देखेंगे ना, on the lower time frame or on the daily time frame, previous fractal lows कहाँ पे बना था उस पे ध्यान रखिएगा. Just keep an eye on that, because that's your basic first level of resistance. Now CNX Finance, FMCG, IT, ये सब charts पे, these are sectoral charts which are derived from stocks. CNX Finance, CNX Metals, ये सब trade नहीं होते. So वहाँ पे anchored VWAP, which is volume weighted average price, यहाँ पे तो volume है ही नहीं. It's a derived entity. So I'm not going to drop all that. Bank Nifty makes sense because Nifty and Bank Nifty, they do get traded. The futures, right? PSU Bank and Private Bank देख लेते हैं. The PSU Bank had its share of a rally, and what a sell-off it went through. SBI also contributed to this fall pretty hard, and now it's becoming little difficult. Why? Because if you take a look at the weekly chart over the last 5 weeks, I'm talking about this zone, you have a pretty decent range expansion, which means a lot of price action is happening within a week's time, week after week, which means one good thing is you're getting good moves, and one bad thing is these moves are not sustaining, which means that if you are a trader and if you want to look for a trade in the CNX PSU banking universe, if you get the trade right, if you have caught a trade and you've gone long and it's going up for 2-3 days, get out. You don't want to sit on this for a longer period of time, because the nature of the pack is choppy, volatile and high ranged. Once it goes into a steadier phase, it will be easy to do trend following. This is not the phase to do trend following. I like to use the word hit and run trade. लिया, 2-3 दिन में निकाल लिया, फिर से look for a trade. ठीक है? Not a very good looking weekly chart. Got some supports kicking in here. It's created a pretty big range. Not very positive. I'll not be looking to buy PSU banking stocks at this juncture. On the other hand, I won't hesitate to wait for the bounce back to finish and look for a sell on a rise approach. Private banks also bouncing back. The structure of the private banks is much better. Look at the structure of the private bank and look at the structure of the CNX PSU bank. Right? So private banks seems to be holding a better structure. Downtrend, down momentum, structurally positive. Daily time frame not good again. It's got a pretty good congestion in this zone. It's giving you a bounce back. It's not going to be easy. The 75-minute time frame have come close to these fractal lows of 25,200. So we have to be very selective within the banking. It's not a clear-cut bullish or bearish situation. Auto. Nice correction on the weekly. Very, very good looking weekly long-term charts. Beautiful structure, deeply oversold. Nice little divergence formation, and it is giving us a bounce back. We discussed auto, we discussed consumer durables in our previous week's class, and we were talking about that these are the two places where we can expect a bounce back, a contrarian reversal. It has started. I think consumer durables have done better than auto, but overall there's still some scope of further upsides, a little bit. Energy, not that great. The weekly charts, Heiken language, still beaten down. Daily chart can be very interesting for Monday morning in energy, because it's a green HAGB, and the way we define a green HAGB is it can be a sign of a reversal. It can reverse the market or it can continue it down. Considering the extent of the move, these kind of green HAGBs should help the index bounce back. So please keep an eye on Reliance Industries going forward. Keep an eye on ONGC and few of these OMCs as well. Do we have a sign that it will reverse back immediately? Not really, but it might next week. It might catch up. FMCG. This is where our blue zone did not work, just like the Nifty. And so what we will do is this blue को मैं उसी logic से इसको red कर दूंगा, because this is where I can expect erstwhile resistances which did not hold this time may give me some resistances. देखते हैं. That's more or less that this red box is more or less this one on the daily time frame, which tells me, come on, I did offer you a bit of bounce back, but very very small ones. Now I'm broken down. So isko bhi hum log, we should change the color and give it a sense of resistance. Just changing the color so that, why have I drawn this? For the sake of support or resistance. When it's red, it means it gives me a clear indication of resistance. I think FMCG giving me a green HHGB on Friday should offer me a further upsides. It should take me at least here, if not a little bit further. Means should anything happens in the market. The 75-minute time frame have taken its own sweet time to base out, to form divergences, to create traps, give sharp reversals. Now probably will retrace and quote unquote should give me further upsides. FMCG, just like energy, I said, just keep an eye on these stocks. Always look at the heavyweights first, ones that move the index. So you should keep an eye on the ITC and Hindustan Unilevers of the world. IT was holding sharp sell-off Infosys, very good revival, and still continues to look good. Of course, dollar plays an important role here for most of our IT companies, and the going is going good. If we zoom in closely, this area gave us what we like to call as a thunder long setup. You will agree. But the markets were such, and the correction of this one was such, that it wasn't easy to take trades, especially long trades, 4-5 days back. Strong weekly chart. Daily chart weakened and reversed very quickly, and it was the highest gainer in Friday's trade. So it reestablishes its bullishness. Are we going to get that breakout? If you see the weekly chart, are we going to see this zone breakout? Possible. Possibility is high. One stock that underperformed big time is TCS. So you should have it on your watch list. The ones which are showing strength, which did show strength, like your Coforge, Persistent, HCL Tech, Wipro. How can we forget Wipro? We've been tracking for a very long time. So there are pockets of strength in IT. So stay positive. Do not look to short IT. Okay. Metals. Now this can be a little painful because the weekly charts are not looking that good. However, the daily chart tells me that this zone which you had marked as support and now you should remark it as resistance has started to give you some green HAGBs. The trend momentum is not that good. So either you're getting a breakdown or some kind of a bounce back. So possible with the overall sentiment, little improvement in the sentiment, metals can also catch up and give us a bit of a bounce back. Tata Steel, Hindalco will be important. Nalco, Hindalco, the aluminium stocks are showing very good relative strength, by the way. Again, if you ask me as of now, I spoke about energy, FMCG, metal, which can give a reversal, downtrend reversal, not IT. IT is uptrend breakout. If I stack these three, the ones where I find the maximum probability of a move is first FMCG, then metal, and then energy. Okay. Then we move on to pharma. Weekly correction, structurally beautiful chart, one of the finest charts, something like we saw in auto. Deeply oversold, should offer us a bounce back. Come on, give us a bounce back. Now, it has given us a fractal low 3 days back. There's no signs of divergences, but yeah, why not a short-term retest of these lows, 22,400, possible. Am I confident about this bounce back? Well, not really. It depends on how Sun Pharmas and how Aurobindo Pharma and Lupin others play out. Dr. Reddy will be important. Couple of sectors and we'll be done with our sectoral analysis. Realty. Realty has given us a very good move, almost more than 3%. DLF bounced back pretty good. The weekly charts are not that great. It's okay. It's just okay. What bothers me in the realty pack is you will find it more cleaner if I mark them on the weekly charts. is this zone. So this zone is not too far, right? On the daily chart, it's like this entire area. Now it's broken down, it went up, it fell, now it's going back again. So I'm not too keen to participate. I would, on the contrary, would like to see whether this particular buying faces resistances at close to this zone or not, and does it give me a couple of days sell-off, 2-3 days sell-off. This kind of a move will be really worthwhile for a short-term trader. And finally, consumer durables. The consumer durables and FMCG, I'm going to keep them in similar bracket of view. However, the consumer durable sell-off has not been as severe as that in FMCG. Consumer durables seems to be finding some support, some solace close to this zone. There are signs of divergences. There are signs of improvement of the short-term direction. So yeah, I'll be looking for follow-through bounce back next week in consumer durable stocks, in FMCG stocks, in metals, and then in energy. Of course, if realty goes, I'm not so keen to participate. If pharma goes, I'm not that too keen to participate right now. And same with maybe auto, I have to be selective. Take a look at the two-wheelers, they've not picked up that much. Bajaj Auto, being such a beautiful chart, has not managed to bounce back. Others a little bit here and there. So you have to be selective. Bank Nifty plays a very important role. And I think that banks and autos and pharma and realty, they're not going to be across the board. They're going to be selective. So you have to be very careful when you decide finalize your trades. Right? Downtrending markets are by its nature more volatile and choppy. So if you think, oh, the market has bottomed out and I'll be looking to go long on Monday and all, please keep a very short-term span for your trades and evaluate each and every hour of your trades if you're going predominantly long. If you think this is nothing, the market is going to fall another 10%, if your view is predominantly bearish, then also I would suggest don't start to short immediately. I think the market needs to get the confidence back and give a deeper, little slighter, more deeper retracement of the 12% fall. And then probably it will give us a better opportunity, give you a better opportunity to initiate shorts. So if you're more bearish, exercise patience. If you are bullish, do not exercise patience because you need to be quick in your exits. All right. That's it for the weekly analysis of the sectors and Nifty. Now we move on and we take care of your doubts and questions. All right.